Welcome to episode 31 of YOUx2, where we're on this adventure of getting to know the two of us that are living this human experience, this human character that we're playing here, and the actor behind this character, a powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being that's made of unconditional love. Hey everybody, it's your brother Zen, and I'm a wake-up artist. My passion is helping us remember who we really are and that amazing connection that we have with the Creator and with the spirit realm. In this episode, we're going to begin to look at how we can expand unconditional love into our lives, allowing fears to dissipate and have less control over our lives. I know I say it quite a bit, but it bears repeating. Any emotion that we feel here on the human plane is perfect. Even the emotion of judgment, judging ourselves for choosing what we think is a wrong emotion to feel. We come here and we're drawn to this giant amusement park of fear rides to ride the rides of fear. Go figure, right? But it's the experience of contrast that makes this human world so juicy and that draws so many millions and billions of souls here to experience it. It's like my tapestry back here. In experiencing the opposite of what we are, we understand more fully who we are. If it was all white, we wouldn't see the design. If it was all black, we wouldn't see the design. But it's the opposites that are appearing there that reveal to us more of who we are. So by experiencing these emotions of the fear of losing conditional love, we more fully understand what unconditional love really is. And when we go into looking at the stress and all of these fear-based emotions that we have, at some point we wake up to where we understand that there is another choice. In addition to feeling all these fear-based emotions, we can feel all those emotions that are rooted in unconditional love instead. And so with that ability, that awareness that there's another choice, it brings in this freedom. And we realize, you know what? Life is a bit more simpler than our shadow allows us to experience in the beginning. That every moment really is a choice between unconditional love and the fear of losing conditional love. Our amazing free will, aka the power of choice, can feel like a superpower when we realize that we're the sole deciders of what story we apply to any situation, and we're the sole choosers of what emotion we want to feel through any situation. We discover that it's us. We are the only one that decides of our happiness and our unhappiness. And then you mix in with that our power of creation, that every moment we are little mini creators creating. Our energy is going out, expanding and growing whatever we're focusing on. And that's a life changer, because you realize that to expand unconditional love, we focus on that. And we don't have to focus on not thinking about this other thing, because if we're trying to focus on, I want to focus on that, but not think about that, we're still sending energy into that thing that we're trying not to think about. It's like changing a radio station. You don't stop listening to the old station. You just start listening to the new one. You've changed your frequency. We turn up the volume of unconditional love by focusing on it in the higher realms on a regular basis, making it a priority. And we can, in a way, turn down the volume of fear by looking into what are our triggers of our fears and doing the shadow work and getting to the root of what is causing them, looking for those small t truths that are rooted in fear, and they get sliced away by the capital T truth of the higher realms. An example of that would be like, I would say betrayal, when we have this belief that people will betray us. And when we look back and see that, there are some charged emotions that are in our subconscious that are still bouncing around, echoing out to my current relationships, with having this belief in my mind that humans betray you. Simply focusing on unconditional love in that situation may not quiet that fear noise very quickly, because as that unconditional love takes more of the energy away, the fears kind of battle it out for what energy is left. And so this stronger fearful energy will beat out other fears and take their energy instead. And so it will continually still try to get my attention, and then also that is trying to get my focus and my energy. When you have a hole in the bottom of your boat, if you expend all your energy on trying to bucket out all the water out of the boat, you'll become exhausted because the water will never stop coming inside the boat. Investing some energy in finding the hole and plugging it up stops the cause of the emotional waters flooding in, and eventually the water will evaporate inside the boat. You can help that along, of course, by throwing some of the old emotions back into the emotional sea by relating them to the original cause of the hole in the bottom of the boat, rather than an emotion that appeared out of nowhere to exist on its own. And going back to that example of betrayal, even those experiencing betrayal in my current life, those were the waters that had seeped in already. And when you dive in and go down and you find the hole in the bottom of the boat, the original experiences that had opened that hole into my heart was actually when I was in the womb, experiencing the betrayal that my mother was feeling and experiencing, that was going on in the environment around me at that time, and all the way up till 15, 16 years old. There are studies that show a fetus will pick up the emotions and the emotional beliefs from their mothers and their environment outside of their mother during the gestation period. So even though we are inside the womb hanging out, we are listening with our hearts, absorbing all sorts of beliefs about worth and how the world works. And once we're born, we'll continue to absorb all that up until the around ages of 6 or 7, when our mental development starts. So during that time, we're developing all our emotional beliefs, from, in the womb all the way up to like 6 or 7 years old. And then we move into that mental beliefs. We start realizing and obtaining and get infused with all these mental beliefs and these stories that we apply to situations. We have all these popular opinions of the outside world that are fed to us as young children, and we take on those popular opinions as our own opinion after a while, because we're constantly inundated with some of those same messages over and over again. And then we have those opinions are all reinforced over and over, where it becomes our habit to feel a certain way, to think a certain way, that this is what something means when it comes our way. And it becomes so much of our habit that it becomes then a reaction, where we don't feel like we're making a choice at all. It just happens so fast. And that is one area that we can also look at expanding unconditional love into our lives while dissipating fear, by choosing to pursue changing those habits. Instead of looking at and reinforcing all those fear-based opinions that we took on, we can start looking at those beautiful capital T truths that are connected to unconditional love instead. Choosing, instead of an emotion of fear, we choose an emotion of unconditional love. Instead of a story of fear, we add a story of unconditional love instead. Well, how do we do that? I think I've heard it takes, 30 days to be able to change a habit. And of course, you can search the internet and find tons of ways that people suggest on how we could go around changing habits. And of course, choose those ones that most resonate with you or that have worked for you in the past. The thing that we realize, when we start to try to change a habit is that we don't get to change it like that, right? It isn't just a little switch that we click in our heads and then we're able to think and approach things in a different way. Usually what we'll become aware of is like, oh, yeah, I chose the old way of feeling and the old stories of fear again. And it's like, okay, be gentle with ourselves is like my recommendation and what I urge you to do as you're going through changing of a habit. Try not to judge yourself harshly. Just be gentle, knowing that every human has a difficult time changing habits. So once you forgive yourself and give yourself a lot of grace, you can go and actually change habits more because you're not in this fear, judgment kind of mentality. You're just going, okay, we're going to change this habit. We're going to take some time. I just know it is. But as you go in and you're taking time to do that, the amount of time between when you realize it and when the situation ended becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. We start to recognize it faster and sooner. And we can even take some time to meditate after we realize, oh, that's right, I chose that old way of feeling again, or I applied that old fear story to that situation. I have found one really cool thing that works is just imagining going through that same situation all over again. But instead, picture how you would have acted differently. Kind of picture it as a movie in your head going, okay, this is me doing it differently. This is me feeling differently. Because it gets our heart and our mind in that kind of habit, or that gets it used to feeling that emotion and thinking that way. And then we'll continue to go on, and then lo and behold, it will suddenly, while we're going through it, we'll be aware that we're going through it and that we're aware that we're choosing old stories and old emotions. And sometimes we'll choose differently, choosing unconditional love, but other times we'll also still be choosing the old ways because it takes time to make the new groove for our minds and our hearts to think and do things in a different way. And then eventually we will start feeling, as we're going into a situation, we'll be aware, oh, here we go. We're going to that situation. And it's almost like you have two choices that pop up. Here's your old fear emotions and fear stories, and here's your new unconditional love emotions, unconditional love story. And it's like, what am I going to put? Which one am I going to choose? Sometimes we'll choose the old one. Sometimes we'll choose the new one, depending on whatever we're going on in our lives at the time and how extreme the situations are. Sometimes it'll start off with the little less impactful situations are easy to go, oh, I'm going to choose love in this situation and celebrate those. And when you choose like, oh, I went back into the old one, again, forgive, be gentle, and allow yourself this experience of changing the habits. And then once you get that one changed, you're like, you know what? I can, like all these little Om symbols, I can grab that one and that one. I can change any of them that I want to change. And what's amazing is as you get empowered through this power of choice and the power that wherever we're investing our energy, we're making these changes, we realize I can go back and change the story and the emotion around an old memory as well. When we grasp that every moment is either of unconditional love or the fear of losing conditional love, we can go back and transform that memory. And we do that by realizing that if that memory was not of unconditional love, then it was a fear-filled experience, a fear-filled memory that we had. And when we kind of pursue and understand that when this human is in the fear-filled fight or flight mode, we are literally acting out of our minds because the blood rushes from our brain to our arms to fight and to our feet to run to safety. And it doesn't want us standing there going, now which, kind of feline, long-toothed animal is that? As it jumps on us and eats us. So we literally are acting in an animalistic type of survival mode where we're just doing whatever we feel is possible to feel safe again, to feel in control again. And those are generally not very emotionally mature and caring and compassionate ways. It is like a cornered animal that is just trying to protect itself. And the creator gave me a wonderful example of this to help me understand it. It's like swimming out to rescue someone who's drowning. They're obviously in panic mode, so as you approach, their arms are flying all over the place, and they end up smacking you in the face and the head. Now, you might react and think, why are they being mean to me? And then they grab and hold on to you, dragging you under the water, and then you're wondering, why are they trying to murder me? But once you get them back to shore, and they're calming down and you're calming down, they suddenly are like, they recognize who you were. They didn't even know you, like they were your best friend, because they were so out of their minds in panic mode. And so you don't take their actions as personally as you did while they were happening, because now that you're in a more calmer state, you understand, you're seeing things more clearly. You're not seeing them from a place of fear. You're seeing them from a place of unconditional love. So maybe the next time that you're swimming out to rescue someone who is drowning, you will possibly see it in a whole completely different way. You'll have a different mindset about it, and you'll have a different emotional state about it too. In the next episode, we're going to continue looking at how we can expand unconditional love into the world by looking at how we can discover that unique way in which we want to share and express that unconditional love within us with the world. In the meantime, if you are looking for more messages of love from above, in addition to these YOUx2 videos, I also put out a variety of other videos throughout the month. Like I have a weekly energy update for each of the individual zodiac signs, also monthly readings for each individual zodiac sign, and several other types of videos throughout the month. So if you don't want to miss out on any of those and be notified immediately when they become available, if you give this video a little thumbs up and click the like button, also click the subscribe button, and that gives you access to the notification bell. And when you go in there, if you select the all option, then you'll be notified of any new videos that come out on this channel. Also, doing those things, it helps spread the love, and it does help my channel grow in significant ways. Because when you like a video, or you share a video, or you comment on a video, and especially subscribing to the channel, doing those things makes the YouTube algorithm so giddy excited. It does make it want to share the videos and messages of this channel with everyone else as well. So if you feel inspired to do any of those things, I am so very grateful. Also, all the readings that I put out are general readings, and if you're looking for even more specific information and answers for your specific life, I do offer personal readings, and all that information is listed in the description box below. I have introduced a sliding price scale for many of my services that I offer, so that you can choose a price that is more in alignment with your budget. So a lot more flexibility around those two. You can check that all out in the description box. All my beautiful, soulful friends, as you go throughout this next week, please know that every second of every day of your life that you are unconditionally loved by the creator of all things. And of course, I love you too. Have an amazing week. We'll be talking soon. But in the meantime, you hang in there and you take care.